Welcome. My name is Abresh. So moving ahead further, we will be discussing in today's session few of the topics related to the agenda. So what do we have in today's agenda? What is functional testing? So we'll understand what is functional testing, why is it so important, and why we are talking about functional testing. Then we'll move to Selenium. What is Selenium? Why it is gaining so much of popularity? Why is it so important for a tester to know Selenium? And then we will jump into Selenium and Python bindings, how Python is helpful in writing the script with Selenium. Then we'll start looking at the script. We'll try and understand the script a little bit. Then we'll try and understand what are the types of locator techniques available. A little gist I'll give you in today's session, wherein I'll explain you how to find out locators, what are the things are prerequisite. What you will learn today is about how to work with locators, how to find out the locators, and then a Facebook login test script we will write. Moving ahead further is what is functional testing. So functional testing is testing technique that is used to test the features or functionality of the system or a software. So there are certain specific needs of the software which we try to understand. So step one would be identification of functional functions that the software is expected to perform, whether those functions are being performed or not. Like for example, the login process, if the login is happening or not, if the login is able to give me success after valid entry of data or not, with invalid data, is it giving me error notification or not, all that comes over here. Creation of input data based on the functions specification. So based on your functions, you will prepare what input data you will require. Then determining of outputs based on the functions specifications. So if your function specifies that an invalid entry should result into a message displaying incorrect data entered or incorrect credentials, so then it should display that, so that you have to define it. Then step number 4 will be execution of the test cases. So when you create the test cases, you will be looking at these things. Then you create the test cases. When your test cases are created, you will compare with actual and the expected outcome. After your execution is done, you get some output. The response is then measured with the actual ones versus the expected ones. Then check whether the application works as per the customer needs or not. Even if the system is working fine, it may happen that your expectations are not met. So it may be that you have the developer has written some script and the code has given you the application, but the application is not as per the expectation of the client requirement. That also you have to make sure. That is why functional testing is the first priority when it comes to testers side. Functional testing is very, very important. Okay, moving on to this, what is Selenium? Selenium is an web-based automation testing tool which allows you to test any web-based application. Okay, any web-based application you can test with Selenium. In Selenium, you have 4 types of components which helps you to perform different types of needs, which helps you to fulfill your different types of needs. When it comes to Selenium, as you know that Selenium is a web automation testing tool, you also need to know that Selenium has 4 components. One is Selenium IDE, as somebody says, it helps to record and playback. So Selenium IDE helps over there. So Selenium IDE helps you to record and playback the recorded steps. Then you have Selenium RC, that is called as remote control. Selenium RC is one of the tool which helps you to work with multiple operating system, multiple programming languages, but it was having some limitations, and because of those limitations and a better API, Selenium WebDriver was introduced, which helps you to write your scripts into the programming language that you prefer on the operating system that you prefer and the browser that you want. So you can test on multiple operating system using multiple browsers, multiple programming languages. You can use any. Out of that, anyone you can use out of the list of tools like C#, Perl, Java, PHP, Python, Groovy, Ruby. All these programming languages help you to write your script. There are various binding libraries available for each of the programming languages, and then you can work on Selenium. You can work with Selenium to automate your application. You can use Chrome. Somebody is more comfortable with Chrome, you can use that. You want IE or Safari or Edge or Firefox, any browser you can use. It works absolutely fine with all the browsers. That's why Selenium WebDriver is one of the most popular tool for web UI automation, and no better than Python can complete it in terms of automation in a broader range of web application. We'll come across about the need of Python, but if we talk about Selenium, the fourth component is WebDriver grid. So we call it as grid, but basically that works with usage of WebDriver. Selenium grid is designed to make sure that you can work with a connected environment. You can have virtual environments, you can test multiple machines, multiple operating system, multiple environments at a time with parallel execution on various machines. That's why Selenium grid was introduced. So you have 4 components, but out of that, currently we have only 3. And the reason, the third one, that the fourth one, which is obsolete, and that is Selenium RC. It is obsolete because in Selenium WebDriver, they have removed all the limitations that were there with Selenium RC, as well as they have even enhanced Selenium RC better in terms of the API, the communication, the writing techniques, the scripts, the code. Everything has improved a lot. And that's why Selenium WebDriver is working in the current market, and you can see almost every organization takes the use of Selenium into their projects. So you'll hardly see any company who have no projects at all on Selenium. Very, very less companies. Because why? Why this? Because we have Selenium available for free. It's an open source tool and it works with variety of environments. So there's no constraint that I want high level configuration of the system. I want Windows only. I cannot work with Mac. So there's no such limitations at all. And that's making it more user friendly for the learners, for the workers, for the employees who are working on various projects. So it's very, very easy for them. That's why it is one of the most popular automation testing tool from a decade or more. Okay, now coming back to Selenium, why it is so important and what exactly it is. So let's understand a little more on the Selenium aspect also. Okay, since we are talking about Selenium with Python, let's first understand what is Selenium also. So when we talk about Selenium WebDriver, the best part about Selenium WebDriver is it has a simpler API, a simpler architecture of the way it communicates with the WebDriver bindings, and the way it communicates with your browser. It is much simpler to write the script and to automate your web-based application. Now you may have a thought process, which one is better, Selenium with Python or Selenium with Java? This is the question which generally people have in mind. So I'll say it is very tough to claim that Selenium with Java is bad or Python is good or bad. Reason is there are many commercial products available in the market which works with Java as a base language. Though it doesn't differ using Python to automate them, but it is more in demand. Java was there from years, and now it has gained so much of need that most of the applications are developed in Java, and it becomes more comfortable to work with Java in terms of, anyways, either it is automation with Selenium or development. That's the reason people are giving more importance to Java. But in the current market, due to the data science and AI ML industries growth, Python has gained a lot of popularity nowadays. Python is very easy language. It's very easy to write. You have very less coding to do. The script are very easy to do. That's why it is gaining so much of popularity. And if you see, most of the well-known products that are available in the market are nowadays going towards Python only. So if you talk about YouTube, Insta, and many more, all are developed in Python. That's why Python is also gaining more popularity. It's second best product. But if we talk about automation, most of the companies are still going with Selenium and Java, and Python is also considered nowadays. Now the question arises, what about Python? How does it work with Python, and how good it is to work with Python? So first of all, I would like to answer why Python, or what is Python. So Python is a high-level object-oriented scripting language. It is defined as a user-friendly manner, into a very user-friendly manner. You can see it's so simple that it looks like you're writing English or English words only. So very easy to interpret, very less syntax that you use, very easy to work around, and it gives you good amount of control on your application. That's why it's gaining so much of popularity. Plus, it is also because of its ease, people are preferring to use it more, and many technological experts say that Python is much faster to develop. The application is also faster to develop. So that's also one positive point. Now, when it comes to what is Selenium, we have seen that. Why should we choose Python over Java and Selenium? That I gave you a little idea, but I would like to put some points into that. So Java program tends to run slower compared to Python programs. That is one reason why we do not, why we can say Python is better. Where we can say Python is better because it is much faster. Java uses traditional braces to start and end block, while Python doesn't have that. It directly uses the indentations. And when it comes to Java, it employs static typing, while Python is dynamically typed. So that is another third point. And we can see fourth point to be it's simpler. Python is very simpler, more compact as compared to Java. You have to write a lot of things. You have to be very specific. Even small things does make a lot of difference. Though that is there with Python also, but it's comparatively very easy to learn. That's why Python is given more importance. When it comes to Selenium with Python bindings, what is why Selenium is Selenium, and how Selenium helps us in automating the task is very simple. Selenium, that is WebDriver. Here now onwards we'll consider only WebDriver as a part of the course, as a part of the webinar. So please focus only on the WebDriver aspects. Record and playback is something which we usually do not do as of now, because still IDE, Selenium IDE, the integrated development environment tool, is still undergoing with a huge major changes, and it's still not that stable enough to use as a professional level, at a corporate level. So it's still not considered to be a good tool to use at a corporate level. Selenium Python binding provides a simple API to write functional testing using Selenium WebDriver. Now, when we talk about WebDriver, how does the architecture look like? The architecture is very simple. You have Selenium WebDriver API bindings. These are the binding libraries which are created, and with the help of them, you will connect to your Selenium server, and with the help of your server and your the driver binding libraries of each browser, you allow the Selenium script to run on the various browsers as you expected. So as per your script, it will perform the operation on the browser. Okay, so Python helps you to write the script. That's where it is used. Selenium helps you to access the web browser and perform some actions. Those are predefined into the Selenium API. Okay, so you can see over here some details. You can see this is a kind of script that you can see over here. Now, if we talk about the script, I will explain you each and every aspect of it so that you can get a little idea about how do we write, what all things are mentioned over here on the screen are for what reason. Okay, so if we talk if you look at this, okay, so these are the imports which helps us to import the WebDriver and the import the keys that we have from the API. So this gives you an access to your classes, to your actions, to all your classes that are prepared and that are added into your API. So those classes you can access through this. Then you have driver is equals to WebDriver.Firefox, and executable underscore path is equals to the path of your project. So see, what happens is when we have to create a WebDriver, we have to call the WebDriver and open up a browser. So we declare a variable driver. Driver is a variable over here. WebDriver.Firefox helps us to say that, hey WebDriver, I'm interested in running a browser which is Firefox browser, and please execute it, please start it. So you also have to tell the browser, tell the system that my browser exe is placed over here. That is basically your driver exe. So if you want to look at that, let's go to the Selenium 𝐤𝐻𝐞.𝐁. So this is the official website of Selenium. If you can see over here, it has changed a lot now. So recently they are going to release version 4, which is in process, almost released, but it's still into an alpha stage. So they'll be releasing the final version soon. Now you can see that Internet Explorer driver server is available over here. Then you have various programming language binding libraries. This is for Python. Then Selenium IDE is available. Third-party browser driver bindings and plugins are available over here. If you extract this, this is the documentation of various browsers. How do we communicate? How do we write a script? Everything is mentioned over here. Executable path. What is executable path? Executable path is basically a direction which specifies that your exe of your relevant browser that you want to automate is placed over here. The exe that you know is not the one. I'll tell you what is the exe I'm talking about. So we'll go to the we'll directly search for Chrome driver. Okay, so this is the place from where you can download your browser drivers. Now, what happens with the process is when you want to automate using Selenium, you have to use browser driver binding libraries. Okay, what does that do and what is the role of them? Basically, when you try to communicate to a browser, since in the RC era, when RC was there in the scenario, there was a server which was acting as a mediator for the communication. But now with WebDriver, they have removed that RC that server need, right? So now what happens is it directly communicates to the browser, but it cannot directly put the same commands for the browser, right? So there has to be some converting point. And that's why, since browser companies also don't want to share their script so that your internal things are available to outside party, that's why they have prepared a drivers. There are drivers which acts as a front end and they display only limited resources to the browser, to the Selenium API, and then with that the communication happens. So it acts again, it still acts as a mediator, but it doesn't occupy any time for it. So WebDriver is an API. WebDriver is an class in Selenium which communicates with the driver exe files, and it triggers the driver to start the web browser and then start taking up, with the help of the driver variable, we are trying to communicate with the browser saying that do this, do that, do this, right? So that's how the process works in this. Now for that we need each browser's exe file. There is an exe file available for each of the browsers. Most of the browser works with exe format, and basically the exe driver binding library is required, and that's available over here on this page. So I'll show you download all versions available in download. So if you click over here, it takes you to a list of versions. Now for this you need to check which is your browser. So go to this and take the help about Google Chrome. So you can see version number 78, that is what is available in my system. So I will go for version number 78, and based on that I can just scroll it down. You can see supports Chrome version 78, right? That means I can work with 78 version using this file. So click on this and you need to download this zip file. So click on this and you can see it is getting downloaded over here. I have already done that, but still I'll do it. So you can see over here we have an zip file downloaded. I'll just go to that, right click and extract all. What do we get inside this is the exe file. You can see chrome driver.exe file. This is very crucial for us to run the script. Okay, when you want to run a browser, you need this driver.exe, and that is the driver.exe path available over here also. So what do we see over here is your driver exe path. Yeah, so you can see executable path means your exe path that you have to specify over here. Okay, so this will help you to open up the browser. This command helps you to open up your browser and refer that browser further going as a driver. So that's the name given to that browser for time being. Driver.get. This is helpful in opening up a URL. So this command helps you to open up a URL. And remember, when you talk about opening a URL, it has to be https:// or http:// you cannot directly mention www.python.org or www.facebook.org. It is very crucial. It will fail to perform. Apart from that, you can see the next line is it is validating whether the title of the page is Python or not. If it is not, it will throw error as true or false. Assert Python in driver.title. Driver.title command helps you to get the title of that page. Now, what is the title of the page? Which is the title that is considered? Now, if you look at yeah, okay. So you can see over here, the title of the page is download hyphen Chrome driver hyphen WebDriver for Chrome. This is the complete title of the page. So remember, title also is important. One of the most important thing is title. When we talk about the pages, we also consider title as an important aspect. So never take it lightly. It is also important. Then driver.get title helps you to get the title and assert Python in. This helps you to validate. Okay, so you're basically validating whether the title Python is matching with the actual title of the page. Then element is equals to driver.find element by name. So by name Q. What is this? Basically a locator technique. So we'll come to locator technique separately. I'll explain you each and every aspect of the locator technique in the ongoing session. ELEM is the ELEM dot clear. So basically what we are doing is we are defining a name to this particular element. This element means any element we are talking about, we are first trying to give a name to it, and then we are saying that clear the field, and then we ask them to type on the field. So it's a text box which we are defining, saying first look at this text box, first make sure that it is clear by dot clear command, and then you type in using the send underscore keys and the alphabets that you want to type. So ELEM line number 14, that is ELEM dot send keys Python, right? So that's what we are trying to search into the Google search. Then comes the assert again. Now it says no result found. Python is no result found, not a driver dot get driver dot page underscore source. So basically it is again doing the assert, but this time it is trying to assert with the help of page source. Then driver.quit is helping you to quit the browser driver. So basically the exe file that you have executed, it is getting, you are quitting that exe. Okay, so if you look at this particular script again, what are the things that we are not aware of? Yes, we can use Chrome browser, we can use Firefox. The only part changes is this. See, the script remains the same. Where it would be changing, it would be changing on the browser part. So WebDriver.Chrome, WebDriver.Edge, WebDriver.IE. So it depends on which browser you are trying to communicate with. You will mention that browser data over here. That's it. You do not do a lot of things. If you're changing the URL, you just make the changes over here. See, the script will be similar only. If you're validating a particular application, it would be similar only, right? Then you might have noticed that we were left with this part. What exactly is this element by name and stuff? What all other things we have? So let's understand that first. Okay, so if we talk about what are the types of locator techniques available, so for that I will quickly jump into an incognito window so that I can show you Facebook application. Let's take Facebook only, and I will click on create an account. Okay, so this is my page. Let's open it into, okay, this is how it looks like. Right click and you have this option inspect. See, whatever you want to automate, you need to have an identity of that element. Now any page that you see or any web page have n number of elements. How will you differentiate? How will you inform the browser that you want to communicate on this element? So you have to find a unique characteristics of it. Now every element will have one or more than one unique identity. You have to find out using locator techniques what is the identity that is unique and how do I communicate with the element. Your aim is to communicate. Now to communicate you need to have a right idea about the types of locator techniques. So in locator techniques you have ID, name, you have class name, link text, partial link text, you have XPath, you have customize XPath, that is various types of XPath you have. You can do customization in XPath. You have CSS and you have tag names. So these are the 9 techniques of locator technique, 9 locator techniques that is available for you. Out of that, we'll see a little bit of few of them. So first thing, how do I get the data, the attributes of these elements? So let's say, for example, first name is my element on which I want to type. So I am going to right click on this. I'm going to say inspect, and here we go. So you can see you have a visual idea about what is the data behind this element. So this element consists of a tag called as input. So every element in a web page has a tag name. With the help of tag name, it also consists of multiple of attributes and its value. So type is an attribute and value, text is a value of that attribute. Similarly, class is an attribute, data type, name, value area required, placeholder area label, all these are attributes, ID. So out of that, we have few locator techniques which are directly available. Few of them are customizable. Okay. So first locator technique that we'll talk about is the ID locator technique. And ID locator technique, you can see ID as an attribute also. So here the connectivity is with the help of ID attribute, directly connecting ID locator technique. So you can directly use this value. So this value gives you access to find out which is the element. Now if I go and search this, see, this is going to help me find out this element, correct? So this is the element which I am getting. So u underscore 9 underscore b is the value of ID locator technique. Okay, then comes the next technique, and that is name locator technique. Name locator technique is also a simpler way to communicate with the element. Name and ID, if they are available, we generally prefer using them. If not, and if we get any kind of failure, then we move to any other technique. Otherwise, we prefer using them. So first name over here is your value of the name locator technique. Now, if you go back to your presentation, yeah. So if you look at this, driver dot find underscore element by underscore name q. So we are using python.org. Let's try and open up that also. Let's keep it side by side. Okay, and I will just open up my inspect element. I do not know which is my element that is mentioned over here. I don't know. Okay, so I'll try to search that. So over here I will put it in this name is equals to within colon I will say q. Is it matching with anything? No. Then what is the use of this name as element by name as q? Okay, so there has to be a q element. Let's try and find out. It should be found easily, but usually this search doesn't give you results sometimes. See, it is there. I was aware that it is there, but just wanted to show you some failure aspect also. So name is equals to q is available with us, right? So you can see name is equals to q. That means we are talking about this element, correct? So over here we are talking about this element. We are first saying clear the field, so it will erase it if there is anything written or not written. It will still make it sure that it is blank. Then send underscore keys is helping us to type into that. Okay, now you got an idea about name and id locator technique, correct? So this is the id locator value of that particular element. Similarly, we'll see this part. Now, since we have seen id and name locator technique, now what are the other locator techniques we can work with? So not every time every locator technique will help us to work on every element. Okay, it is for sure not everything is possible at the same point of time. So sometimes your elements may not work that well in every aspect. So let's use a little bit of my equipments and let's draw a little bit and see how do we what all points we have in here. Okay, so what all type of locator techniques we have? We have id, then we have name, then we have class name, then we have link text, then we have tag name. Okay, we have partial link text, then we have tag name, then we have customized variants, and that is XPath CSS. So these are the variety of locator techniques that are available. So we have seen ID locator techniques, we have seen name locator technique, we have to see class name locator technique. So let's go back to the browser. Now, if you can see over here, there is a attribute named as class. You can see class. Now, usually class name is not a preferred variant. The reason is many a times developer have a habit of using the same class name for multiple elements. Now it's not always unique. Now here also the same is the scenario. If I paste this, it says 6 matches. That means you have 6 of these elements which comes from the same class. Now if 6 elements are coming from the same class, how will the system be able to recognize it? So system does a simple strategy. It types into or it performs the action on the first element which is found to be matching. So out of 6, if you're trying to type into fifth one, you cannot use class name method because it will not allow you to type into the fifth one. It will allow you to type in into first one. Okay, so that's the problem with class name. Then comes the other locator technique, that is link text. Now when we say link text, it has to be to a link based element. Now if I look at this, you can see a link is there. So let me inspect this. Now, if you see forgotten account, you can see at the back of it, there is a tag called as anchor tag A. Then you have href as a attribute name. Then the value of the attribute is http://www.facebook.com recovery initiate and stuff xyz, right? So this is the basic link of that page which takes you to the forgotten account page. To display a link, we use link based textual data. So the textual data that you see on the page is forgotten account and the question mark. This is also important. In link text, we use the whole of this data. The complete data is used in link text. So when we mention the link text, the entry would be this way. Okay, forgotten account. When we talk about partial link text, we can say this. We can say forgot, we can say forgotten. Anyways, you can use any part of it, or you can even use the middle part of it or central anywhere. You can say ACC, you can say TEN space ACC. Even this would be able to allow you to reach to that element. So partial link text is used when some part of the partial part of that element, the textual part, when it comes to textual part, the partial part of the element is changing dynamically with the change of element or change of the page refresh based on various conditions. So if there is any kind of deviation, frequent deviation, then you will use partial link text. Otherwise, we prefer using link text. So when we get failure with link text, then we go for partial link text. You got it? So link text is used for link based elements. Now moving on to that further, we have another kind of locator technique, and that is tag name. Now you might have seen this A tag, right? We can find out how many elements are belonging to A tag. See, 47 of the elements belongs to A tag on this page. So this is giving you an identity that okay, there is a tag name. This is useful when there is a list of element and we have to print all the list and get a data out into a console output or result part. So if you want to find out, list out all the countries list available on the drop down, so then in that case you will use this tag name process. Another position where we can use tag name is if you have a variety of needs or variety of options available in that. Look for, out of those options, look for one single option which might be available at the center of it. So you can just draw one by one, select, verify, yes, no, and then move to that element. So that is where tag name comes into the picture. Another type of locator technique, and that is CSS. Now, if we talk about CSS, we have customized CSS, we have directly taken up CSS also. Somebody who is knowledgeable into HTML should, I consider person who is knowledgeable enough into HTML concepts would be easy for him to work on CSS. Maybe not that comfortability for a non person who does not have much knowledge on HTML concept. Okay, because CSS is cascading style sheet, so it works on the style of the document, the HTML document. So how do we copy that? So first you have to reach to that element, right click over here and you just say copy, go to this copy selector. Copy selector gives you CSS. Copy this. If I just paste it over here, you can see how it looks like. Okay, so it varies from element to element and the positioning of that element. So this is CSS style, cascading style sheet. Another thing is CSS can be customized based on your knowledge. If you have good knowledge, you can create your custom CSS also. We'll not be going deep into CSS part. We'll go a little deep into XPath. We'll try and understand XPath, a bit of it. Okay, let me take a screenshot of the page. Okay, so I'll just give you a little idea of it. Okay, so with this, I'll try to give you a little explanation which is easy for you to understand. When we talk about XPath, customize XPath. So first thing is, what is XPath? XPath is the exact path of that particular element. Okay, so let's say for example this is your element. How do I reach to this element? You have to enter this div, open this, then this, then this, then this, then this, and this way you continue further and reach to this. So if we talk about creating an XPath for this, I would consider this as an there are two ways to work with XPath. One is absolute XPath and one is relative XPath. Absolute XPath is something wherein absolutely everything you mention, each and every aspect of it is mentioned, means it is more um, detailed variant of XPath, wherein each and every element or each and every tag is considered into the process, wherein if there is any small deviation in the element and its position, things fail. So absolute XPath is not a safe XPath technique. Absolute XPath is generally taken with small projects. If you have a large set of project or a project is very large, XPath, relative XPath is preferred because it directly correlates to that element. So if we talk about absolute XPath, this is how it will look like. So you will have div, 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 div1, div. Now you'll say, what is one? When you see this and this being a part of this, so parent, this is the parent of these two children, right? So parent and children, when there are two children, we specify first child, second child. Okay, then div, this way it will keep on going, and the last you will receive is input. Then inside that you will have okay, at the rate name is equals to email, and this will get closed. So this is becoming your absolute, this is your actual absolute XPath. Now the problem is with this absolute XPath technique, if this child 1, okay, let's say this is, you have mentioned child 2, but there is another child has been introduced by the developer, and here instead of 2 there are total 3, and this element is still on the 2 only, then it will not change. But when this position of this element changes, so this div belongs to div 2, correct? So in div you have div 1, then you have div 2, then you have div 3. Now suppose it is this particular div is over here before, and then after the introduction of div 3, the developer has moved it to div 3 position, then the failure will happen. But if this is not happening, then it will not fail. Okay, so remember, the change has to be relevant also. Now this is one of the technique of absolute XPath. We do not use absolute XPath in reality. So what do we use? We use relative XPath. Now what is relative XPath? Erase all. Relative XPath directly finds the element anywhere on the page. So I can directly mention relative XPath to be // input within the bracket @ name is equals to within colon email. Here we go. So this becomes my relative XPath. In relative also we can do a lot of customization. Got it? So that's how the relative XPath works. Now I'll create a relative XPath over here and type in and show it to you. // then input as the tag name, because the tag name was input. Then into the square boxes, I will mention the attribute selector first. So this @ symbol helps me to select the attribute. The attribute name is name, which is equals to the value of the attribute, and that is email. So when I do this, you can see the highlighted one is yellow. Now I'll just move back to the default format. That is this. Okay, let me select something else. Okay, I'm selecting this, but when I put this over here, it directly takes me to this element. So this is my element. Which is my element? This is the element which I have the XPath of. So this is how XPath is created. Getting it? Okay. In relative XPath, we use the @ symbol. It is used in both. We do use it, Manisha. In relative XPath also we use it. In absolute XPath also we use it. But there are various types of XPath also. In XPath you have a lot of customization. You can customize based on the functions, based on the operators. XPath, there are multiple types of XPath. I'll just use this to explain you. So when it comes to XPath, we have two types: absolute and relative. In relative XPath, we have two types. One is through functions and through operators. We can club them as well. So I'll just give you a little idea on this. So what type of functions we have? Contains, we have starts with, we have contains, starts with, and then following, and we have preceding. Then in operators we have AND operator, we have OR operator. Okay, so these are the types of relative XPath through which you can make a lot of customization. You can club them also. It can be clubbed together or it can be used either ways. It's up to you. So there are various things. We will be discussing them a little more detail in the various sessions that we have. So let's go back to the presentation again, and yeah, so the help of that we are developing the script. So let's take a little idea on the screen as well. So locator, find element by underscore ID. So from ID is equals to login form. So by, see, what are we saying with this command? The command that you see over here is we are telling our driver to look at and to find something. What you have to find out? To find something with the help of a by locator, by technique, by class, with the help of by class, using the name locator technique. And with the help of name locator technique, you can specify the name or any locator technique that you want to find with, you can use that. Okay, so with this you can work on various elements. That's the reason locator techniques are very crucial over here. So link text, partial link text, tag name, and various things are. I've given you an explanation in one go. Here they have explained you everything separately. Got it? And we have seen the Facebook login page also. So that's the overall agenda that we have for today. So thank you so much. Have a great life. Bye bye, guys. Thank you.